Caching.
Geo Gearheads.
Hey, welcome to Geo Gearheads. This is episode 496. Today we're talking about road caching. And Daryl, each week we plod closer and closer to that episode 500. Now, I know that's not the milestone you're shooting for.
No,
but nonetheless,
I'll take it.
It's a big number.
Yeah, and we've had several people tell us that we should just give up.
Huh.
We
Okay,
shouldn't
bye.
even try. Wow, that was easy. Okay, and now on to the new show. Rat Holes Inc.
Yeah. Oh, we would do well, wouldn't we?
We would. That's going to be our new show.
Yikes.
Maybe we should do that for 500 is just the Rat Hole Show.
The Rat Hole Show. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We have nothing planned. So oh, that would be appropriate. I don't know if it would be good, but it would be appropriate.
Welcome to Rat Hole Radio. All rat holes, all the time.
All the time.
There's probably already a Rat Hole Radio. But
we're gonna have to Google.
Speaking of rat holes, we got to dig ourselves out of this one and get to the actual topic because, well, no one wants to hear us talking about rat holes. So we actually have one of our best geocaching and podcasting buddies, Limax, back on the show to talk about some of his travels recently. So first off, Limax, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me again.
So we do have, welcome to Rat Hole Radio.
There is ratholeradio.com.
Well, I suppose it's better than pirate radio, but
yeah.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know. We could. Let's see. How about
Shiver me timbers.
Oh, me like the pirates.
All right. Anyway, getting back to the travel, because that is in fact what we're here to talk about. If you're not watching, you might want to stop the recording, go and watch over on YouTube, because we're going to have a bunch of images, including maps that Limax has provided us this time. So, Limax, why don't you give us a brief overview of what you did?
Okay. This has been over the last couple of months, and this is obviously not the first time I've done this, because I've updated Daryl and Chris several times about these sort of trips that I take. The way work is set up for me right now, I get every other Friday off. And since my girlfriend works on Fridays, I've got the whole day to do nothing. So I end up planning these, for lack of a better word, ridiculously long road trips. It's usually around Northern California. I've got, actually, this last one, I went up almost up as far as Chico, California, which for me is, it's about 4 hours north if I were to drive straight. The road trips themselves are anywhere between 200 and 600 miles long. And I keep going until I get tired or traffic gets so bad as I've decided I just need to turn and get home. I'm not sure if I have ever, once a couple of years ago, I actually got every single cache on my list that I had, but that rarely happens. I usually bite off more than I can chew with them.
All right.
Yep.
So you want to dig into this? I guess this is a trip from February.
Oh yeah, the trip from February. Yeah, that was the most recent trip. Now, I did. The reason I've actually do these road trips, we've got a prolific hider lives up in the Walnut Creek Concord area. I'm not sure where he lives, by the name of KC Searcher, Kilo Charlie Searcher, and he loves planning these really huge I'm not even sure what to call them. They're not really geo trails or anything. They're usually all over the San Francisco Bay Area and the Sacramento Valley is where he usually puts these. Among his caches, he's got 4 solar system models and a series of caches that he does every 4 years based on February 29th. And always holds an event every February 29th. And in fact, if February 29th doesn't happen, he usually does it on the Saturday following what would have been February 29th. And every 4 years, he's been putting out these caches, and there's first to find prices with all of them. And, it's bragging rights when you get to the event because he puts them out well ahead of time. I have never tried to do first to find on any of these, but, he's got, I think this past time, it's February 29th, when he had like 3 different sets of these that each have bonus caches. So you have to go out and find these caches and hope you get the right code letter that you could then solve the finals. And some code letters, there might be only 1 cache, some are in 2. So, and you never know what you're going to find. So what's with these road trips, I've been trying to get out what I will call the outliers. Yeah. So let's say, actually, Daryl, before we get started on the February 29th, let's bring up the shot of my car.
All right. Command Central it is.
All right. Command Central. This is where I do all of my geocaching from. As you can see, I've got my snackage there, the box of wheat thins. Now, what we've got here in the car itself, now Chris has actually been in this car, but a lot of this equipment was not in the car the last time he was in it. Because that was 4 years ago, Chris, if you can believe that.
No,
yeah,
doesn't seem that long.
It has been. But looking at my steering wheel, right above the steering wheel to the left, you've got my Garmin GPS. I think I did upgrade that since the last time you were in my car, because that's a Drive Smart 65, 8-inch screen. With GSAC, I can load all the geocaches I need into it. Just to the right of that, you see the bubble thing. That is a compass, because I always need to know which direction I'm going. That's very handy for letterboxes. And Casey Searcher, yes, had some letterboxes that said drive. Yes.
Is the compass removable or is it mounted?
It's mounted, but it's in a mounted case, so I actually could remove it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a base that sits on the dash that I actually, you can kind of see just to the right of the compass, there's kind of this little black mark.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sticky stuff from a piece of Velcro that didn't work well. So they are actually screwed to the top of the dash. And then just to the right of that, that's a speaker to go with my ham radio. Right below the compass, I don't think you can see it too well in the shot, but that is the head to my ham radio that I've got in the car. The speaker is actually just a recent addition, because the base of the radio is actually mounted to the right of the center console, down in the foot area there. That radio has 2 different bands that you can have up at once. So my top band is either set to the local repeater, or I've got it set to the national calling frequency, which is, Wits End's going to kill me for this, but I think it's 146.52 megahertz, I think is the calling frequency. And then the bottom band is set for APRS, which stands for automatic packet radio system. It's meant as a communication system, but one of the things it does is it can transmit your position. And this particular ham radio also has a built-in GPS. So it can take my position, broadcast it out there, tell me where I am with it. 14652, Team Demp just said. So I was off by a kilohertz or 2. But it also does ham radio, does APRS, like I said, so it transmits my position. The right below the speaker, that's actually my iPhone there.
Mhm.
That's for music and podcasts. That's always just there. And actually, that's the same mount that was in the car when you saw me, Chris.
Okay.
So that hasn't changed. I did change the radio itself.
Mhm.
The center radio, that's aftermarket Pioneer NEX something or other. It does Apple Play, which is why I got it. And then just to the right of the smartphone, my iPhone is a Android. It's a Samsung. Oh, was it Samsung?
Like an 8-inch Galaxy Tab.
Yeah, it's an 8-inch Galaxy tablet as well. Yeah, Galaxy A8 or whatever they call those. And that's actually mounted. You can't see it too well in the. You can see the knob to the left of the Galaxy tablet there, and that's actually mounted to basically a pipe that is connected to the bottom of my seat. I actually had to remove my seat in order to put this in. It was one that was made for the Impala. This is a Chevy Impala, and this is a 2012. So back then, it was one of the law enforcement vehicles used. So, yeah, they Ram Mounts had a special mount for that, and so I'm able to mount that. And the map that's on there, that's actually, you can see it's the San Francisco Bay Area, but that gives me all of the stations around me on APRS that are also pinging themselves and saying, "Hey, where they are." So if I get bored with the podcasts, I can look and say, "Oh, there's somebody here." Click on them, maybe talk to them on the radio if I want to. That hasn't happened yet.
Here's a question from GSM times 2. He says, "How do you concentrate on driving? You should be the poster child for distracted driving."
Okay. I do not look at most of that very often. The GPS is strategically mounted so that when I'm driving, I can actually just glance at it briefly, but keep my eyes on the road.
Mm-hmm. And he's not taking into account the Bay Area traffic, where if you get up to 5 miles an hour, you start to get shakes because you're not used to going that fast.
No, of course not. No.
So
anyway, yeah, that's the that's my current setup in the car. And when Piffle Bear travels with me, the Android tablet's gone. That's just it gets too much in the way, and so basically the mount that it's on and that whole screw thing lifts out, and all there is a pipe sticking up. So, and
you have a second battery and a backup electrical system to power all this?
Oh, sure. Yes, Chris, I do. In fact, I've got an array of solar panels on the roof.
Okay. And some EPS conduits?
Yes, and some EPS conduits. Yeah. Actually, what I've got is a long extension cord that I run from my house.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that way you can always find your way back home.
Right. Exactly.
Should just do it on Qi charging with a giant Qi charger from the house.
But since I do a lot of caching on my own, like I said, because Biffle Bear works on Fridays, I felt I needed to get the APRS in the car because cell coverage where I go is iffy. So, yeah, Houston, Texas, Dave, just south of San Francisco. I was in Sunnyvale at the time.
Oh, that's why it was right.
Yeah,
because it was sunny.
Yeah. All right. So let's get on to the trips. Let's talk about the one from the 19th of February. That is actually the first long distance trip I did probably since late summer last year. Yeah, the Horsehead. That's the one. I did one actually when we were having the major fires after all the lightning strikes we had.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did one after all of that had happened, and I didn't go as far. This one here, the point was to get a lot of KC searchers, what I would call outlying caches. And this was, let's see, I think this was, this is a screenshot from Cache Tour. I did most of my planning in Cache Tour. And if you look there, the red is what I did. The blue is what I didn't do.
Okay.
Yeah. When Cache Tour set this up for me, it had me going east to west rather than west to east. That was just a matter of, reversing the trip. mainly because I know I would rather be coming from the east late in the day rather than from west. So, as you can see there, I've got, let's see, a couple caches I found up in Vallejo. Actually, no, I was up near Vacaville, Fairfield area, more, but then went out to Point Reyes, went all the way north. Let's see, I can't tell what my furthest north point is there, but basically came across there, came along the south part of Lake Berryessa. Oh, that was devastating to see. I had actually been through Lake Berryessa a couple of years ago, actually doing the same thing, but I was going east to west at that point. It was amazing how much it had changed from all of the fires that we had in the area. It was, I couldn't believe that it was the same area. It was so scarred up there. Yeah. But, you know, if you'll bring that back up for just 1 second, Daryl, you'll notice right down there towards the bottom of the blue line, there's that last little question mark. I want you to keep an eye on that question mark. So there's something to go on with that. Now see whether. Oh yeah, I did have a story connected with this. One of the caches I was actually finding on this trip was one that I did not find on my previous trip last year, and so I went out and I was able to avenge that DNF. It was a multi-cache. The first stage of the cache, the numbers were written on the side of a telephone pole. And when I was out there before, there was a swarm of wasps all around the telephone pole. So I really didn't want to get close. And the numbers were so faded, I couldn't read them anyway. So, but it was actually on that little piece that I found out that my GPS has a quirk. Now I had my GPS set up for take paved roads if at all possible. Only go on dirt roads when necessary. Well, this is out on a dirt road, and it's about at least 3 or 4 miles you have to drive out along a levee and then get down off the levee to even get out to where this is. My GPS was taking me down to the southernmost point and then pointing me back north. Well, when I got down there, that part of the levee, the gates were closed, and I couldn't go across on it this time, unlike the previous trip I had done there. So I'm going, well, shoot. I know Casey Searcher had just recently gone out and done maintenance on it, which is why I knew I could go out and do it again. And I didn't have a paper map of the area. So I actually just pulled up my iPad and started zooming in. And yeah, sure enough, I could go up a little bit further, get on a different road, and it actually was a more direct route to the geocache than this long way was taking me around, because it said, well, you said to stay on paved roads as long as possible. So.
Okay, hold on. You actually drove your Chevy to the levee?
I actually drove my Chevy to the levee, and the levee was a bit dry too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just had to point that out. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Fine by me. Chris, when you were with me in my car, we drove my Chevy to the levee also. To find the
Yes.
It was was a virtual cache? No, it was an earth cache by the windmills.
Mm-hmm. But the levee wasn't dry.
No, that levee wasn't dry. This levee was dry. So
how many miles? Did you already say how many miles were on this trip?
Let's see. There was 408 miles planned for this trip.
Okay.
I don't know how much I did. When I got about the place I stopped, that's about Discovery Bay, California.
About 3/4 of the way around.
About 3/4 of the way around. And as with all good trips, it ended at Piffle Bear's house. She was home by that point, but it was but by the time I actually got down, I was just I was just north of the bridge across the Sacramento River on Highway 116. That's the same one you and I went across, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking Friday afternoon. This was probably about 4 or 5 o'clock. There was a lot of people trying to escape the Bay Area.
Wow.
And so I said, okay, I had enough. And so I drove back home and spent a bit of time. And actually, this wasn't the time I sent you the text, Chris. That was on the, which that would have been the March 5th trip. But, I was having trouble logging these caches because iCaching didn't catch the fact that I was trying to do it a year ago. Because I guess the last time I had logged anything with iCaching, it had been 2020, and I was tired. I didn't notice that, oh yes, this is 2021, and so I logged everything a year ago. Meaning, what's funny is, some of them hadn't been published by then when I was logging them.
Did it still let you log them?
It still let me log them.
Huh.
Yeah, I believe you can log any dates you like in the past, but it won't let you log in the future.
Right. And I actually went back and forth with geocaching before I realized what my mistake was, and I had to go in and manually fix it all. Yeah.
I guess I've never tried to.
Yeah.
Or never accidentally done it in the past.
Yeah. So after I did that, and I was kind of lamenting that I didn't get the bottom of the horse in that picture, Piffle Bear said, well, let's just go out the next day and you can get those caches you didn't get. So that was the second trip, and that one was actually planned. We did about 133 miles on that one, but it wasn't bad. And there again, we didn't get to some of them. Actually, we did get to most of them. A lot of the caches that are on the right-hand side of that, the little squirrely things, those were ones that I had already found. But Piffle Bear felt that she needed to find them because those were mystery caches that we'd actually solved together. But she needed to find the codes so she could find the actual final without not just going directly to the final like I did. And again, these were, let's see, looking at the list, these were actually all, they were all KC searcher caches in this case. As we were driving back and forth, though, we ended up going past the same multicache 3 times, just because of the way my GPS was taking me. It's taking me back to, I was saying, oh, look, there's a multicache there. And then back, oh, look, there's a multicache there. Third time, it's like, okay, we are stopping for this multicache, so I don't have to look at it anymore. And it was a fairly easy multicache. It was a couple stages within a little small park. That was, let's see. I thought I had it on here. It's called So and So Slept Here, and I'm actually not seeing it on my list right now. Wonder what happened to it. I thought it. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong list. That's why I went down too far. Multicache GC178 Echo 2. Deanza Slept Here. And it was a little park that had some memorial stuff in it. It had let's see, did it have an engine or caboose? I think it had a steam engine in it as well. And it was just a nice little park. And the final was in the park as well. But it was but after going past it 3 times, we just decided we needed to do it. One of the other caches we did find on that trip as well is actually when we stopped for lunch. We were up, we were in Discovery Bay, just actually right on Highway 4. There's a little place that had like a Subway and things, and so we stopped there to get some food. While we were there, we're looking at our phones and going, "Hey, there's a geocache here." So we popped over to find it, only to find out it was also a KC searcher cache, not on our list, but he actually has a series of caches of abandoned airports. That's kind of the wrong term, but We happened to be right on the edge of where an airport used to be. And if you look at Google Earth, you could still kind of see where the runway went on it, which I thought was really cool. I actually found the location of the original Livermore Airport, about where it was. I actually found a site that I was talking about it and saw an aerial view. I was going, oh yeah, I know where that is. I'm trying to remember when my father moved out here in 1955, 53 or 55. I can't remember if that was still the airport, if it already moved to its new location. But anyway, that was just one of those really weird things. It's like, oh, that's really cool. The cache itself wasn't much. It was more about the location in that case. And with my father being a pilot, it was just really, it was meaningful to me with that. So, yeah, like I said, we did about 133 miles on that one. Now, on that same map, you'll notice that there's that same mystery cache right there, that little finger at the bottom there in blue. We tried to get that one. Turns out the gates closed at 5 p.m. We were there at 5:30. So it's like, all right, not going to happen this trip. So that one's actually been one that's been on my list, and actually it was on my list for the trip that I did at the beginning of March as well. But really, that was the trip that I bit off more that I can chew with. I think, Chris, I told you at the time that trip was about 400 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it was 661 miles. Yeah, I was looking at crow flies versus roads. So, what's funny about? Go ahead.
I could do 600 miles in a day of driving, right?
Yeah.
But a day of caching in 600 miles, how many hours is that?
Oh, I don't remember how many years. How many hours I was on the road. Let's see, that one I started at in fact, it says right there, I was on the road 14 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
I only did 552 of the miles. I didn't get quite to the whole thing. What's significant about this one compared to the other ones is that there were a lot less caches I was going after. These were the real outliers of Casey Searcher's solar system series. In fact, he actually said to me the Voyager 2 series, which is the ones I was working on, he said, yeah, he was not really thinking well when he did those because it was a lot bigger scale than he really thought he should have done. And with his solar system models, the ones that he created as opposed to the one he adopted, he has a lot of the dwarf planets in it as well. And so I was going out after Eris, Maki, Haumea, Pluto. And these were the real outliers. Now, with this particular, and I also picked up a couple of his, Casey Searcher, as you might figure, is obsessed with the number 29. So he's got a series of caches where he's mapped out all of the GeoPS coordinates that end 029029 and has put a cache at the ones he can.
Wow.
So he's up to about 16 or 17 currently, but he's doing these there again all over the Bay Area and the Sacramento Valley. And eventually there's going to be a bonus cache. That hasn't happened yet. But on this particular one, go ahead and pull up the map for this one, Daryl.
And this is the one from April 2nd, correct?
No, this is one from March 5th.
March 5th, got it.
Yeah. Okay. This is, like I said, I bit off a lot more than I can chew with this one. And there again, you can see there down on the bottom left, there's that little mystery cache sitting right there. That's the same mystery cache I was not able to get to. This one here, this was actually the longest one I've actually done. I I can't. Let's see. Yeah, this is when I started at 4:40 a.m. that morning. Just getting out, seeing how much I could get done. I was probably, let's see, I was actually probably right around where the end of the red part was when my girlfriend was driving to work, and she and I talked on the phone from there until probably about the point I was at Placerville. These, these series of caches. I mean, I was trying to get, like I said, the outliers. I was getting Neptune, Haumea, Eris. Let's see, was Eris? No, Haumea took me a very, very, very long time. One thing Casey Searcher is very good about being available, and you can text him if you've got a problem. I probably spent a good 15 to 20 minutes at least looking for Haumea. At which point I decided to text him and say, okay, this was just replaced recently, got any clues? And he said, well, it should be there. He didn't have a photo to send me, but he said, if it isn't there, go ahead and replace it. Here's the code for it. It's like, great. So I probably spent another 20 minutes there or so, and finally pulled a cache container out of my car, hid it for him about where I could figure the coordinates were. I was trying to kind of gauge that, and sent him photos when I got back into better cell phone coverage about where I put it, circling it on in. So that one took me a long time to go, but I did see a good view. There's the canyon shot, Daryl, of the
let's see, the fire damage.
Oh no, canyon. The canyon.
I actually don't have a canyon shot.
Oh, you don't? What I called it?
From that trip, we have a benchmark, a bird cache, a bolt cache, and the fire damage.
Oh, somehow I forgot to send that with you. Okay, never mind then.
So
that was
since you
interesting.
spent the extra time, you didn't get to the other dwarf planets like Sneezy and Dopey and Doc?
No, I didn't. Not this trip. But what was interesting about that particular shot, you could see the road that I was eventually going to be going on, and I was quite a ways up at that point. I know that I had copied it. I guess I just, minor brain something. So anyway, and then from there I went on up to Eris. Now Eris was out kind of northeast of Oroville, California. It's just right around the top of the blue area there, right before the red area just kind of takes off to the right. That's Oroville, and my grandparents lived there for years, so that was a trip I had made for a very long time. In fact, I tried to stop off in Oroville and see if I could find the trailer park where they used to live, and no luck. It wasn't until I was probably 100 miles or more, I was like, oh yeah, that was the landmark I meant to look for, and I realized I went right instead of left. Just trying to remember. Yeah. Well, it had been
where the dam broke several years ago.
Yeah, that's Oroville. Yeah, the Oroville, Oroville Dam. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, my cousin had property near that, or still does. But yeah, he was safe. Good. When that happened. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the largest earth-filled dam or something like that in the country, if I remember right. But anyway, going on up to Eris there, that's up State Highway 70, and you can see I just kind of went up and back. Well, right before I got to where the cache was supposed to be, there was an escort vehicle. They were doing road construction along that stretch. So I did something that I have never done before. I got in line and I went follow the vehicle. And once I found the shoulder where we're supposed to do, I just kind of turned off. And so I was in the middle of the escorted zone for this. But of course, this was to get a cache. And I really didn't want to make another trip up there just because there was road construction. So I actually found the cache, got it all signed and everything else. Got back into my car, and I kind of waited and thought, okay, well, am I going to wait for one that comes down? About that time, I saw an escort vehicle escorting a bunch of people back up the other way, and he's signaling for me to follow him. It's like, okay, there we go. And I was just about to try it off and follow him when another escort vehicle came down. So I had to wait for that train of cars to go by so I could make a left and catch up to the escort vehicle, go in the direction I wanted to go. But yeah, that's something I've never done before, and I'm sure there are other cachers that have done that at a time. But
Not me.
Oh no, not you.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
No,
you just go after the festering head, bloated festering head of my last victim.
First victim.
First victim.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't found the last one yet.
No, I could be the last one. Good memory. That was my 500 cache.
Yeah. So let's see.
I don't even remember when I found it. Go ahead.
I don't remember when you found it. I just know you've told the story several times.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. On that same trip, when I got back out of the construction area, there was actually a pull-off area that's actually it's on that same little thing there, and it was just an area for me to stop out and look at the view. The photos I took of it did nothing for it, which is why you didn't get those, Daryl. But there is a shot of a bolt that you've got. Yes. That cache was right there at that, and I'm going, I wonder where the cache could be. Yeah, that's actually a picture I sent to Piffle Bear while I was up that way. And when she was looking at it earlier today, when she and I were discussing this tonight, she says, if I had done that, I would have placed it a little bit further away from the actual bolt that was there, so it looked like it was something, there was something to it. But
something intended, yeah.
Yeah. But as it is with a lot of these, you put it back where you found it, and that's where I found it.
Right. See, I would have thought it would have been in the hole right next to it.
Hole,
but the hole looks like it might be a little too big.
Yeah, the hole might be a little bit too big. I don't know. And of course, on the kind of bolt cache like this is, the magnet's on the head of the bolt too. Hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. And it was actually funny because I think the previous searcher had not found it. I think that person happened to be fairly new, and I just kind of looked at it. Looked over. It's like, oh yeah, there it is, right there. Yeah, with the geocaching symbol was pretty obvious.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So when I got back down into the valley, I mean, I've got my planned caches on the trip, and there always happens to be something else along the way. And I'm also trying to get the California counties, and I had a real big head slap that happened because I passed through. I was a Butte. Can't remember. It was either Yuba County or Butte County. One of the counties that are right up there, just around Oroville. Actually, no, just a little south in Marysville, California. That's in a different county. It's not in Yuba County, and it's not in Butte County where Oroville is. And I drove right through it without even thinking, oh, I should probably stop here and get that county. So there's a county I need to go back up and get. But as I was making that little L shape coming down, I actually realized I was in a different county, and I stopped for another cache. Bring up the one in the tree, please, Daryl. And it's like this bird looked rather sad, like it might have had something stuck in it. And sure enough, that was it. That's
nothing like a constipated pigeon.
No, nothing like a constipated pigeon. And yes, that's why we don't have a picture of the underside. But this particular bird had a like a clothespin that was attached. So it was a manufactured bird that actually had the clothespin attached to the bottom of it. I don't think it was originally intended as a geocache. It may have been like a decoy or something. I don't know for sure. Mm-hmm. Just given the brand, but yeah, it was I actually kind of like that because it was kind of neat saying, it's like, oh yeah, there's a bird in here. But that was just at the side of the road. And then as I was going down a bit further, the benchmark, please, Daryl. Yeah, this was in Colusa County. And I think I'd already found a cache in Colusa. I can't remember for sure. But I didn't find the cache that was happened to be by this benchmark. But it's like, hey, a benchmark. Let's take a picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then on to the fire damage shot. Now, this is actually was part of the intention of my trip. I had actually contacted Casey Churcher ahead of time. Pluto was right near this location. And it's actually on the other side of that red, yellow, orange fence is where the location of it was supposed to be. And I went ahead and I replaced it for him, like I said that I would. I don't know how long it was going to last. I mean, you can see there's a lot of fire damage through there, and they were doing a lot of construction along there at the time. And this was about the time I said I'd had enough. It was starting to get really heavy. This was on State Highway 29. I was on the west side of Clear Lake. That's where I was. So I was really in the heart of the fire damaged area. And I texted Piffle Bear and said, I'm ready to come home. She goes, well, then come home. Okay. So we actually, I actually came home, and it was funny because I had driven, I'd done a road trip in January of 2019. It was just one of those ones where I just had to get out of the area for a while. I was just doing a seat of my pants trip. It wasn't really a geocaching trip. It was, let's see what we can find sort of trip. And I was actually in Clear Lake then. And by the time I was driving home along Highway 29, it was a very, very windy trip to get over the hills into the wine country. And, it was quite messy. But yeah, I said, okay, I'm going to forget Maki Maki. So brings us to the map that Daryl has up now. This is a trip that Piffle Bear and I did together, and we did this on Good Friday because she happened to have the day off. It was, there again, a Friday. Yeah, if you look at my stats, most of my caches are on Fridays. And the whole goal of this trip was to get Maki Maki, which happened to be up on the Pacific Coast Highway on Highway 1, just a little bit south of... oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the town now, but we ended up driving up the coast from about Bodega Bay all the way north along Highway 1 there. It's a very pretty drive. And yeah, we were able to get Maki Maki, so which means I could knock that one off my list and didn't have to go back out there. But we got up there and I said, I don't want to really turn around and go back that way. There had been construction along there, again, escort vehicles, construction. Not to mention the fact you're hugging the coast. Mm-hmm. So I'd had enough. And so we said, okay, well, let's see where we can turn in. And right up there, you can see a little bit further, we turned in at Navarro. Actually, before that, Daryl, bring up the cemetery picture, please. Yeah, Fish Rock. This was, we had just crossed into Mendocino County at this point, and I already had Mendocino County, but Piffle Bear hadn't, so we decided to stop there, and this was just a little roadside cemetery, and there was a cache nearby, and it's kind of funny because, there were definitely gravestones in there. Can't really see it too well in this shot, but it was kind of overgrown. And, trying to find parking and then walking up to this, it was a little tricky, but it was just, a roadside cemetery that needed a little TLC, but it was a really interesting place. We didn't actually go inside it, but, we decided, I decided to turn north, turn in at Navarro. And so we went in, we at Navarro Junction. So we took highway, forgotten the highway number. I think it's 120. Probably doesn't say on there, but it's at the very, very top of that thing. You can kind of see where we kind of dip down and then go back up. Well, we took that down as far as Navarro, at which point we decided that I decided I needed a break. We pulled off, and there was somebody barbecuing out front, so we had a hamburger while we were there. And while we were there, it was very interesting because there were wooden sculptures at this little rest area. In fact, there's one of them right there. There was a bear, and then there was another one with a guy playing a guitar. And there were actually several others that I didn't include with the set, but it was just, you've got this little roadside area that's basically a porta potty. I think they had a gas station, of course, with very expensive gas, and a little convenience store. And so we stopped in there, had a little snack, and went on. And then on the trip, we turned north at Boonville and headed back up to Clear Lake. We were actually, there again, I was trying to get Lake County for Piffle Bear because I had already had that from the trip in January of 2019. Or excuse me, January 2020. I said 2019. January 2020. It's funny because I think of 2020 as all pandemic. I forgot that the first 2 months we didn't have that. So we actually stopped off at a place called Blue Lakes. Let's see here. Yeah, welcome to Blue Lakes. And actually, I was able to avenge that cache. And it was one of those things where I found it and I'm going, why didn't I look there last time? Because it was quite an obvious place when I finally found it. And then we drove down a little bit further and I pulled off onto a shoulder, which is the one I actually had found there, so she could get that one as well. And while we were there, we watched the traffic start to back up on State Highway 20. And it kept on backing up. And we were kind of in spotty coverage, but we were able to look on Google Maps, and just about a half a mile ahead of us, there was an accident. And so were clearing it out. And so we actually got stuck there on the shoulder for quite a while, waiting for traffic to clear up enough that we decided we could jump back in the car and drive out there. And we were able to get on down eventually into, let's see, I'm trying to remember the name of the town at the north end of Clear Lake. And, I think is it called Love or no? It's actually a French name, and I'm not remembering what it is called. But and you can't really see it on the map there, unfortunately. But we drove into this town and just started kind of picking up caches here and there, and then drove, and we decided, well, let's go ahead and continue on Highway 20 out to Winters, which is let's see. Oh, Daryl, can you bring up the last map? I just realized we're still on this one here. Yeah, that was actually shot from the Pete. That was actually one of the stops where we stopped. Yeah, so here we are. Yeah, this is the road. This is the one we did in April. We went down the east side of Clear Lake, and we were on State Highway 20 from the point we were in Ukiah, California, on 101 there, all the way out to Winters on Highway 20 and Interstate 5. And it was about the time we got to Winters, we stopped there and picked up some dinner. I think this was probably 9 p.m. by then. I don't remember what time we finally got out there. And that Piffle Bear started looking and going, you've only got this many more hidden wonders. I've only got this more hidden wonders. Let's try to get them all. It is the first time she has ever experienced just more one-itis. And I couldn't be more proud. So we mapped out some caches along the way to try to get these, and we were having a heck of a time finding them. We were able to find, looking at my list, I know we were able to find Valley Ranch, and we were able to find a place to recharge. That was actually at a rest area, which are always good places to find caches. And it was also picking up counties for Piffle Bear as well. But it seemed like all the caches that we're trying to find that we thought would be relatively easy, it gets to be about 10 o'clock at night. It gets a little harder to find because it's dark. And so we ended up driving down to Vacaville to the Nut Tree outlet mall. And there were several caches around there. In fact, one of them we found was Vitamita Vegemin. And that was only because they happened to have a picture of Lucy with the expression on her face inside the restaurant right by where we were. And I'm trying to remember if it was a Red Robin or, it's one of those ones that has the iconic artwork up on it or whatever. But we kept on driving around, and finally we found the last one we needed to. And by this point, it was just close to midnight. We didn't get back to her house until after 1 o'clock in the morning. And we'd been going since 8:30 that morning. Yeah, it was a very long day. Actually, I was actually doing okay with the whole thing. But, we had, that was a really good trip. In fact, as GSM times 2 knows, we're actually heading back up to Mendocino, not this coming weekend, but the weekend following, because he roped us into that whole Highway 1 Pacific Coast Highway thing. And
he roped you in.
He roped us in, and the stretch we have happens coincidentally to happen from Navarro Junction, where we had turned off, from there all the way up to Leggett, California, which is the terminus of Highway 1 at 101. And so what's happening is Piffle Bear's doing the research. I get to be the tech person. So we've got our roles.
We've got the car equipped.
And we've got the car equipped. Yeah. Of course.
So,
yes.
So Limax, from what I hear about this, you do a good amount of research on to plan your trips.
Yes, I do.
But you also allow, the spontaneous find as well.
That's correct.
Why you have the trip planned out, it's not a concrete plan. This is all we're going to do. We're not going to do anything else.
No, and Cache Tour has been very helpful in doing this for me. I know one of the trips that I planned was before Cache Tour, and it kind of worked out, trying to use Google to do that, and it sort of worked. But when I'm able to take these from the bookmark lists I have, put them in a different bookmark list, and then put them out on Cache Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And then it can massage it for me. I don't go fully in depth with it. I don't plan stops. I don't plan eating places. It's just how far am I going to get and what's around me, which when we were going up the coast, Piffle Bear said, no, we're not going to do that. I am going to pack a lunch for us. And, seeing as she's got, how do you put that delicately? But we had to find restrooms rather than side of the road.
Huh. Funny thing that.
Yeah. So, and since we were, this was April, and so I'm trying to, actually, she had already gotten, I think she had received both of her vaccinations at that point. I hadn't had my first one yet. And so we were kind of this weird situation where we were trying to go places, but we had to respect, not going in places, and just finding places to stop, stretch our legs. It makes for a different sort of planning versus, what I'm usually used to doing. But I have to say that the PCH trip was a bit more remote than I'm used to doing. I mean, when I'm in the Sacramento Valley, although I don't really think about it too well, I mean, usually when I'm coming south nowhere near any of the interstates. I'm usually, let's see, I don't remember which highway I was on coming south, but it was, it was a state highway as opposed to a freeway of any kind. And there's farmyards, landfills, all that sort of stuff around you. But if I'm within what I call my circle, I've got geocaches on there showing me what's close by.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got. I think I've actually meant this to you two. At this first time I've said it on the podcast, I have pocket queries to give me every single cache within a 55-mile radius of my house. That way, it's like, okay, I'm here. Oh, look, there's a cache over here. Let's go get it. So, but yeah, with these road trips, I plan. It's like, okay, these are the ones I want to get, but I need to watch myself. It's like, if I really want to get these, I really can't stop at every other cache I'm seeing along the way as well.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We are actually a little long on time, so we're going to probably wrap it up now. Is there any parting thoughts, though, that you want to share?
This isn't going to be the last time I do this. That's for sure.
Something maybe that you would plan better, or that really worked well that you can give as advice, maybe.
Well, I'd say just try to plan and see. Make sure that what you're doing is not completely unreasonable. Now, the trip in March, I realized that was going to be a long day. I didn't look closely enough at Cache Tour, and I said, "Oh, it's 400 miles," because I didn't realize that was the crow flies method. Excuse me. Rather than the GSM times 2's got it. Just do it, and that is me a lot of the time. And when Piffle Bear goes back to work at the end of July here, I'm going to be stuck with Fridays with nothing to do again. And what it's going to mean, a lot of the time what it means is I go exploring in the Central Valley. There's just a lot out there to do, and there's not a lot of cars around. Rather than, say, going into San Jose or Santa Cruz or anything like that. I try to save those for other times. But at some point there's going to be another one of these epic road trips I'm going to go on, because Casey Searcher has a bunch more caches on these trips that I haven't found yet. I've got most of his outside ones now, what I call outside, the really crazy ones. There's a lot actually of the Voyager 1 solar system model I haven't done, but those are all up Interstate 5, and I'm actually saving those for a certain trip I'm supposed to go on a year coming up in August. So, and that's been planned as part of that trip.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And hopefully we can make that journey next year.
Well, some of my other trips have already fell through, so this one's looking more likely. So,
all right. Thanks so much for sharing, and always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yep.
And check the Cache Maniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave feedback by emailing geogearheads at cachemaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cache Maniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cache Maniacs shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Suffenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2021 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.